After my father's funeral ended, I sat down with my sister and brother-in-law. My father left behind many things. There were many memories, teachings about life, and a house. My sister confidently declared, "The will states so, but all of Dad's assets will be inherited by me. Normally, the assets are passed on to the children first. There's no way all the assets should be yours alone. However, the will specifies that all the assets should go to me. I'm afraid you can't change that. Unlike us, you are single and working. We need to support our family. We need the money." No matter what I said, my sister and her husband seemed unconvinced, insisting that they should inherit the assets. Moreover, she boldly stated, "We even have a lawyer." I was not obsessed with the inheritance, but I couldn't forgive my sister's previous attitude towards our father. That's why I wanted to honor my father's will and not hand over the assets. Unfortunately, the right of inheritance belongs to Jennifer. Suddenly, a man appeared and revealed this shocking fact. "All of today's work is done." "Ah, good job. How did it go?" "I secured 3 new contracts, one of which is with a major client." "That's impressive for a newcomer." "It's past the end of the day, so you can go home now." "Are you not going home yet, manager?" "I'll leave once I finish this. Feel free to go ahead." "Understood. I'll take my leave then." With the manager's permission, I left the company first. The streets at dusk were bustling with people hurrying home, filled with energy. My name is Jennifer White. I work in sales at a food manufacturing company located in New York. Being a newcomer, every day is a continuous learning experience, and work is incredibly busy. I usually have to work overtime, but today, luckily, I was able to leave early. As I headed towards the station, I remembered that I needed to do some shopping at the supermarket. Recalling my home's refrigerator, I remembered it was almost empty. I commute by train from my office to my home, which is quite a distance, but I've completely gotten used to the commute. I buy groceries at a supermarket on the way, and accomplish today's goal. Especially since fish was cheap today, I've decided on grilled fish for dinner. I will soon be in my mid-20s, but I live at my parents' house, not alone. There is a special reason for this. Let me start with a story from my past. It happened a long time ago when I was a child. It was before I had even started elementary school. I remember greeting my father, who returned home with a somber face from the hospital. "Welcome back." "Where's Mom?" "Mom has gone far away." "When will she be able to come back?" "She's in a far place, isn't she?" "She can't come back soon. But we'll be together again in the not-too-distant future, so don't worry, Jennifer." "Yes." Feeling anxious about my mother not returning, my father explained that she had gone to a faraway place. Looking back, I was still very young at the time, and I think my father took that into consideration. My mother had died in an accident. It was probably something that I, still very young, could not yet understand. From now on, I'll take over the household chores. The laundry, cleaning, and cooking, too. Then, I'll help out with something, too. That would be appreciated. Thank you, Jennifer. After that, my father took on all the household chores. Taking on all the tasks my mother used to do must have been a great struggle for my father. Especially cooking, which was initially a trial and error process, and the overly salty chicken soup remains an unforgettable episode. Daily life in our home changed significantly. Fortunately, my father was a wealthy man, so we hardly ever struggled financially. Despite my mother's death, I feel we were able to lead a rather luxurious life. I was able to attend school properly, and we had sufficient clothing and household items. However, there was just one problem. "Jennifer, where is Sydney?" My sister went out. "Out again? Did you ask when she'll be back?" I did ask, but she didn't answer. Ugh, I'm at my wit's end with her. Anyway, Jennifer, does fried rice sound okay for dinner tonight? Yes, I love it. The fried rice you make is delicious. Ha ha ha, No matter how much you praise it, the taste of the fried rice remains the same. The expression on my father's face as he looked at the empty chairs was tinged with loneliness. I have an older sister named Sydney. However, she was known as the troublemaker in our family. Especially during her high school years, she often went out late at night and was taken to the police several times. "Good evening. I'm sorry, but your daughter was wandering around late at night again." I tried speaking to her, but she didn't seem willing to return, so I brought her home this time. "Sydney, were you out late again? What's the problem?" "I was just hanging out with friends. Why make such a fuss?" "What do you mean, make a fuss?" "You're causing trouble for the police too. I'm really sorry for always causing you trouble." "It's okay, but it's dangerous for a high school student to be out alone at night. Please be careful in the future, and I'll make sure to pass that along." "Yes, I'm really sorry. Sydney, you should apologize." Tick. Sydney. She always did what she wanted, often hanging around with friends late at night and getting picked up by the police. Her indifference to household chores was apparent, and her interest in the home seemed non-existent as she immersed herself in socializing. Even when I was helping around the house, she was busy exchanging messages with friends or applying makeup before going out. I once spoke to her directly about this family distance. "Sydney, why don't you care a bit more about the house?" What?" "You have something to say to me. Since Mom passed away, Dad has been struggling on his own, and all you do is cause trouble. You never help around the house, you just go out and fool around. That's my business. You just live a boring and dull life." Sigh. "You're always dad like a child?" With that, she said, "I'm going out," grabbed her bag, and left the house immediately. This situation has been ongoing. No matter what I say, she doesn't listen, and it's the same when Dad tries to intervene. It's unclear whether she hates the house or us. The truth isn't clear. That's how little we spoke to each other. My sister, who was always out, rarely spent time at home, but there was a time when she was even more absent. One evening, unusually, she came out of her room and said nonchalantly to us, "I'm planning to get married." "Wait, you're getting married?" I'm surprised by the sudden announcement of marriage. There was no prior discussion. I didn't talk about it beforehand, but I've already decided on a new place and I'm ready to move out. So goodbye. Wait a minute. Sydney. She had already packed her bags and soon walked towards the front door. Seconds later, the sound of the door opening and the lock closing followed. Not only was I shaken by this sudden announcement of marriage, but so was my father. "Dad, you didn't know about the marriage either." No, I didn't know at all. I didn't expect her to leave so suddenly. But if she's getting married, that means she has someone suitable, and maybe that's a good thing. Yes. Although it was sudden, the marriage itself was a happy occasion. My sister was already a college student and at the age to leave home. I tried to comfort my father with these thoughts. After a while, my father somehow came to terms with it, murmuring, "Well, it's her decision," as he began to reach for his dinner. The dinner table was sadly left with meals for no one. About a month after my sister left home to get married, we suddenly received a message, "Next time I'll come to greet you with my husband." The chance to see the face of the husband I had never met before had come. I was very curious about what kind of person she had married. Looking forward to my sister's return, I held a slight hope but was anxious as well. When the day arrived, the man who appeared was long-haired, with piercings and dressed sloppily. His appearance was not suitable for someone coming to greet his spouse's family, and I couldn't hide my surprise. "Hello, I'm Kelvin Wood. So you are Sydney's husband. Welcome." "Yes." "Sydney, you should offer some hospitality." No way." "Jennifer, make some coffee." "Me." "Oh, you must be Jennifer, the sister. You seem serious." "Ah, yes. But first, could you please make some coffee?" I didn't know what to make of this man. It was clear from our first meeting what his personality was like. He was self-centered and had a dismissive attitude towards others. While I was puzzled, my sister urged me on with a hurry up. I thought she should do it herself, but complaining seemed like it would only complicate matters. Reluctantly, I made the coffee and served it to them. Despite being guests, their attitude was not commendable. "What do you do for work?" "Oh, I work at a casino." "A casino, huh? I wonder if you can make a decent living with that." "What, do you look down on regular people because you think you're rich?" "No, that's not what I meant. We live just fine. You don't need to worry about our earnings or job." Well, Kelvin is working hard, and Dad's comment was a bit inappropriate. "Sorry, my bad." It's natural for a parent to have financial concerns about who their daughter marries. Despite this, their lackadaisical attitude was frustrating to witness. Initially, I was anxious about my sister marrying such a person, but now that feeling has started to fade. Perhaps like attracts like. It was a year after my sister's wedding that my father began to change. "Oh, not again. What's wrong?" "Lately, I've been having frequent dizzy spells. Maybe you should take a break." "Yeah, I will. Sorry for the interruption with the housework." "It's fine. I'll take care of the remaining laundry." At first, it was just dizzy spells and headaches, but the days without energy increased. It seemed that a little rest would help him recover, and he would act as usual afterward, but the concerning symptoms continued. Additionally, his appetite had decreased compared to before. "Father, are you really okay?" "Yes." "Don't push yourself. You should really go to the hospital. It's not a big problem." "You worry too much, Father." Despite my concerns, he showed a smile, but his cheeks were sunken compared to before, and his complexion was clearly worse. He began to forget things more often and would frequently sit quietly in a chair. Then, the inevitable moment arrived. Father, have you woken up?" "Where am I?" "You're in the hospital. You collapsed." "I collapsed." "I see. It seems that stress and overwork are to blame. You'll stay in the hospital for a few days, and if your condition stabilizes, you can be discharged." It was clear that Father had been overexerting himself. He had taken on raising the two of us and all the household chores by himself. Not just that. There was also the issue with my sister. He must have been carrying a significant amount of stress internally. "Sorry, Jennifer. I've caused such a hassle." "Don't worry, Dad. You've always done so much for us. But you'll soon graduate from university and start working. And here I am, collapsing at such a time. Then take it easy, get better soon. That will balance things out." "All right, thank you." 1 week later. Although Father was discharged from the hospital, he was visibly more worn out and less energetic than before. He was allowed to leave the hospital, but his body had not fully recovered, and it seemed that he needed care. Therefore, I decided to give up moving out and dedicate myself to caring for my father. "No, you don't have to do that. We can hire a caregiver, so don't worry. Please let me do this much. It's a way of saying thank you for everything up till now. Jennifer, you've always taken care of me. Even though I've caused financial and other troubles, I don't want to feel like I can't give something back. My father always did his utmost to raise me. I remember when I was in high school, I said to him, 'Hey Dad, there's a university I want to go to.' 'A university, huh?' 'Yeah. But it costs a lot to go to university, so I was thinking of starting a part-time job to save up for my education.' 'Oh? Which university are you considering?' 'This one. The economics department is highly regarded, and the employment rate is very good. I think it's great because it'll help me to understand the world better.' 'I see. Then, I'll figure out the finances.' No, I was planning to work part-time because it's expensive. When you've decided on your future and chosen your path, as a parent, it's only natural to support that dream. Dad, don't worry about the money. We have enough funds at home to support your future." Thank you. Just make sure to study hard. Don't worry, I will. The cost of going to a university was considerable. Furthermore, since my sister was also attending university, the financial burden was double, which was a significant strain. That's why I had planned to start a part-time job, but Father accepted my proposal and agreed to cover all the university expenses. While attending university, I also worked part-time, trying to repay him in some way. However, Father never accepted any money from me. That money you earned should be used for yourself. But let me at least contribute a little to the university expenses. Don't worry about it. Use that money for job hunting expenses instead, like buying nice clothes, which can be quite expensive. All right. Thank you. No matter what, Father refused to take the money. Amidst all this, I focused on my studies and eventually secured a job in sales at a food manufacturer in New York. I am where I am today because of my father. That's why I see the care I provide now as a natural way to repay him. Caring for him is harder than raising children. Father, dinner's ready. Would you like to eat? Yes, I'll eat. Be careful, it's hot. Just eat as much as you can handle. Thank you. While I dedicated myself to caregiving at home, my sister had not shown her face at home since our father fell ill. I contacted her immediately when Father collapsed, but her response was dispassionately cold. Oh, really? Father has collapsed. Don't you worry. He got what he deserved. He moved around on his own and collapsed on his own. I'm not going to take care of him. Don't contact me about such things. Bye. Sydney. The call suddenly ended, and I was at a loss for words. There was no sense of gratitude for the father who had raised her. Since my sister was not involved, her husband, Kelvin, also stayed out of the caregiving. As a result, I ended up taking on all the caregiving responsibilities alone. While continuing the long commute to my workplace, I cared for my father, which was the reason I stayed at home. A year passed, and despite my efforts in caregiving, my father passed away. It seems he had been under a lot of strain on his heart, and his end came unexpectedly soon. Even so, he was always concerned about me until the end. My father truly was a wonderful person. Many people gathered at his funeral, and there were numerous expressions of sorrow for his passing. I heard remarks like, "It's too soon, really, and I wish we could have talked more." I was glad to see that my father was loved by so many. My sister, who had almost no involvement up until now, and her husband also appeared at the funeral. You came to the funeral. Of course. After showing no face until now. Well, I didn't care about Dad. What? Besides, now that he is gone, there's an inheritance, right? When do we handle the procedures? You came back, just for the inheritance. What's wrong with that? I couldn't hide my astonishment. My sister, once ignoring our father's deep affection, now seemed only to be after his property. Father was a wealthy man, and it was clear that he left behind a substantial fortune. Kelvin did not object to this mindset and was clearly eager to get his hands on the inheritance as soon as possible. It was disheartening to see them focus solely on the funds. However, things did not proceed as my sister hoped. What? The inheritance goes to Jennifer. What does that mean? It appears that your father had decided to leave all his estate to Jennifer. We were at the family court for the reading of the will. The revelation at the family court was astonishing. My father had intended to leave his entire estate to me. It was an unexpected fact for me as well. My sister could not accept this and protested vehemently. It's impossible. It makes more sense for me to inherit it. You must have said something to Dad. I've been telling you, I had no idea about the inheritance until today. I can't believe it. You must have schemed something during the caregiving to take it all for yourself. That's despicable. I did no such thing. You always play dirty, just you watch. My sister was clearly hostile towards me, and as we left the courthouse, she hurled harsh words at me. I was puzzled by Father's true intentions, but perhaps he saw through my sister's real motives. Maybe he didn't want to leave his estate to someone who seemed to care only about the property, without any consideration for others. What do you mean by just you watch? A few days later, my sister and her husband summoned me to the family court again, but they waited outside the building, not inside. They brought a stranger with them. Sydney, who is this person? This is the lawyer I hired. A lawyer? For what? Why do you think? To ensure I inherit all the estate. Really? I hired a skilled lawyer for this. It was expensive, but it's a small price to pay if I can secure the inheritance. The lawyer my sister brought along approached me with a smirk, glancing at some documents as he spoke. In this case, both Sydney and you, Jennifer, are direct descendants. Normally, the spouse has priority in inheritance, but after that, direct descendants like children and grandchildren are the next in line. Therefore, not only you, but I should also have a priority claim on the inheritance. My sister declared this with full confidence. The will states so, but all of Dad's assets will be inherited by me. Normally, the assets are passed on to the children first. There's no way all the assets should be yours alone. However, the will specifies that all the assets should go to me. I'm afraid you can't change that. Unlike us, you are single and working. We need to support our family. We need the money. Into our conversation, the lawyer Sydney had hired interjected. So Jennifer, you intend not to give Sydney a single dollar of the inheritance. Even though she is family, you absolutely do not want to pass anything to her. That's not my intention. Generally, it would be normal for Sydney to inherit the assets. Sydney is a housewife with almost no income. What do you mean that you do not want to pass on the inheritance to her? That is. The lawyer's argument sounded right, but was not logical. According to the will, I should rightfully inherit the estate. However, the lawyer was steering the conversation with phrases like, "For Sydney's sake, doesn't it weigh on your conscience and think about the future?" This was problematic. It seems like I might not be able to fulfill my father's last wishes. Even if you try appealing to her conscience, that logic doesn't work. Unfortunately, the right of inheritance belongs to Jennifer. The voice was unfamiliar. I turned around, and there stood an unknown man. Who are you? My apologies for the late introduction. My name is Baker. I am the family attorney for your father, Edward. Family attorney. I hadn't known there was a family attorney. Indeed, it must have been a consideration typical of my wealthy father. The man in the suit smiled at me gently. I have already heard everything from Edward. It has been decided that you, Jennifer, will inherit the estate. Why would that be? Normally, as his real daughter, shouldn't I be the one to inherit it? Real daughter? I am also father's daughter. Ah, you might not know this, but you were adopted. That's why I'm saying that his real daughter should inherit the estate. Adopted. Yes, in fact, Jennifer, your real parents were Edward's brother and his wife, who died in a car accident. Afterwards, Edward took you in as a young child. Is that true? I've never heard this before. He probably didn't want to hurt you. I calmly accepted this fact. Somehow it seemed like a distant story. Father raised me with unconditional love, even though I was an adopted child. It's unthinkable to let an adopted child get the inheritance. I should be the one to inherit the estate. Sydney, you thought you could just play around expecting to get your hands on the inheritance, but if the inheritance all goes to you, it ruins my plans. Hey Sydney, what are we going to do? Don't worry about what that lawyer said. We have our own lawyer. After saying this, my sister looked towards the lawyer she had hired. However, the confident smile from before had disappeared. Her lawyer was clearly shaken, sweating profusely. I didn't expect they would have a lawyer too. Defend our rights properly. I'm sorry, but our position is disadvantageous. I can't be involved any further. Wait a minute. The lawyer quickly left the scene, and Baker appeared somewhat exasperated. I don't know where you hired that lawyer from, but he doesn't seem trustworthy. He probably thought he could deceive ordinary people, so that's why he stopped talking after Baker joined. Yes, lawyers don't easily agree among themselves, after all. And I paid a high price to hire him. What now? I married you for the inheritance, and now it's all ruined. What do you mean by that? Do you think there's any other reason I would marry someone as selfish as you? Forget it. If I can't get the inheritance, I'm filing for divorce. Wait, Kelvin. This turn of events was unexpected. I never imagined that even my sister's husband was after the inheritance. Likely, my sister had always boasted about our father's substantial wealth in public, flaunting it to attract attention. As a result, she ended up marrying a man who was drawn to the prospect of that wealth. However, once it became clear that there was no hope of him getting the inheritance, he vanished without warning. In the end, it left just the three of us, my sister, me, and Baker, the lawyer my father had hired. My sister said anxiously, "If it stays like this, I have nowhere to go. I have no income, and as a housewife, it's hard to find a new job." I simply replied, "Yes," she continued. "So, could you perhaps show some mercy and share some of the inheritance with me? I'm not asking for all of it. Half or maybe a third would be enough." I found it hard to genuinely sympathize with her and said, "I'm sorry, but I honestly never considered you as my beloved sister. You have always been a burden to Father and the people around us, and I have no memories of you trying to help our family." She retorted sadly, "That's not true." I went on, "You never took care of Dad, and you didn't even come to the hospital when he passed away. You only showed up at the funeral. You never performed a single act of filial piety. That's probably why Father also questioned leaving you any inheritance." Angry, she shot back, "What about you, Jennifer? Won't you help a sister in need?" I responded calmly, "I'm also just a person, and frankly I was fed up with having a sister like you. I will inherit the assets according to Father's will. What matters is not the connection by blood, but the connection by heart." Finally, I said quietly, "I'm sorry, but I want to sever our ties. I no longer want to have any further contact with you." 5 years have passed since. Having failed to secure the inheritance and her marriage having ended, my sister is likely leading a quiet life back at our family home. Since I moved out many years ago, I have no detailed knowledge of her current life. "Mom." "Read this," my son said, bringing over a picture book. "Ah, this one has a monster in it." "You really like monsters, don't you?" I responded. "Yeah, I love it when Mom pretends to be a monster." My son was excited. "Oh, really? You like Mom's monster impression?" "Grar," I growled playfully. "It's fun to read books, but it's almost time for dinner. Let's tidy up the toys." "Already? Can I clean up everything in time?" my son wondered, looking a bit worried. "Yes, you can do it," I encouraged. Now married and a mother, my life is filled with the joys of having a family. I have one son, and together we have built a happy home. However, parenting is more complex than I anticipated. While I want my son to grow freely, ensuring that this freedom doesn't go too far is a delicate balance. I want to instill proper greetings, compassion, and basic manners and etiquette in my son, helping him grow into a respectable adult. Above all, the most important thing is to interact with love. I believe that affection is the most crucial element in parenting. I have little memory of my biological parents, but I am beyond grateful that they brought me into this world. I also appreciate the parents that raised me, because thanks to them, I grew up safely without suffering any major injuries and accidents. I have not only the parents who raised me, but also the parents who gave birth to me. Being able to feel this happiness is undoubtedly due to the love and care I received as I grew up. With this deep sense of gratitude in my heart, I intend to continue pouring the same love into my own family.